Alright, so finally the DepEd's official guidelines for assessment and grading in this new normal has been already released. They call it the DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020, the interim guidelines for assessment and grading in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. This was released last October 2, 2020. Dear parents and students, we are going to discuss the highlights of the DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020 as to how assessment and grading will be done in this new normal. To begin with, for us to be on the same page and to understand better this DepEd order, we have this definition of terms. First is classroom assessment. It is an ongoing process of identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about what learners know and can do. Indeed, in the teaching and learning process, assessment is of vital importance. It is used to determine and evaluate the learning of the students. And there are types of assessment. We have the formative assessment. It is a process that involves teachers using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. This process, through the teacher's immediate feedback, enables students to take responsibility for their own learning and identify areas where they do well and where they need help. This type of assessment enables the students to keep track on their own learning and also enables them to determine their strengths and weaknesses. And with their weaknesses, the teacher could provide enrichment activity or activities to improve the learning of the students. Moreover, in formative assessment, the result will not be the basis of grading. Here comes the other type of assessment, the summative assessment. The summative assessment, the result will be the basis of grading. In this assessment, it is usually administered toward the end of a learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies, the results of which are recorded and are used to report the learner's achievement. So again, summative assessment will be the basis of grading. And grading is defined as the way of reporting assessment data by assigning a value to the results as a record of students' ability, achievement, or progress. In this new normal, to evaluate student learning at particular points in each quarter, summative assessments shall continue in the form of written works and performance tasks. Written works shall be administered to assess essential knowledge and understandings through quizzes and long or unit tests. Items should be distributed across the cognitive process dimensions, using a combination of selected response and constructed response formats so that all are adequately covered. So written works could be in the form of selected response type of test and or constructed response type of test. In selected response type of test, it is a type of test wherein there are already options or choices, and the students need just to select the best answer. Common examples are multiple choice type of test, matching type of test, and true or false. And even identification type of test if there are options available or given. While in the constructed response type of test, it is a type of test wherein the learners or the students will be the ones to provide and to create their own answers. Common example of this is an open-ended question, and a brief essay or an essay in general. Now with the performance tasks. Okay, these refer to assessment tasks that allow learners to show what they know and are able to do in diverse ways. They may create or innovate products or do performance-based tasks, including skill demonstrations, group presentations, oral work, multimedia presentations, and research projects. It is important as well to take note that written outputs may also be considered as performance tasks. Take note, quarterly examinations will no longer be a part of the grading system for this school year. Its previously determined weight was distributed equally into written works and performance tasks, allotting an additional 10% to each component. The table 1 in here shows the weight distribution of the summative assessment components per learning area for grade 1 to grade 10. As you can see in the table, the summative assessment components are the written works and the performance tasks. Quarter examination is no longer included. Now for the different subject areas and their weight distribution along the different summative assessment components. For languages, AP and ESP, under written works, it is 40%. Under performance tasks, it is 60%. For science and math, written works is 50%. Performance tasks is 50%. For MAPE, EPP, and TLE, under written works, it is 30%. And under performance tasks, it is 70%. Now let's have a sample computation of a quarterly grade. Our example is for subjects math and science. We all know that for math and science, in terms of the summative assessment components, the written works and the performance tasks both have 50%. Okay, now in the table, as you can see, we have the different activities under written works. Under written works, 4 activities, 1, 2, labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. And also we have the highest possible score. For activity 1, the highest possible score is 20. For activity 2, the highest possible score is 25. For activity 3, the highest possible score is 20. And for activity 4, the highest possible is 20. So the total score, highest possible score, is 85. Now for example, we have a learner named Juan de la Cruz, and in the different activities, he got this raw score. For activity 1, he got 18. For activity 2, he got 22. For activity 3, he got 20, and for activity 4, he got 17. Now to compute for the weighted average under written works, here are the steps. For step 1, we need to add the scores of Juan de la Cruz. Add the raw scores of Juan de la Cruz. So we have 18, 22, 20, and 17. And that is total to 77. So we put 77 in the column of the total column. Now for step 2, we determine or we solve for the percentage score of Juan de la Cruz. And we do that by dividing 77, the total raw score of Juan de la Cruz, divide to the highest possible total score, and that is 85, multiply by 100%. So we come up with 90.58, and we need to round that off into a whole number, and we have 91. So we copy 91 into the column of percentage score. Now for step 3, for the weighted average of Juan de la Cruz, we multiplied 91, the percentage score, with the weight of the component. Okay, so for the written work, the weight is 50%. So the percentage score of Juan de la Cruz is 91 multiplied by the 50% weight of the written work, and we have 45.5. So the 45.5, we copy that to the column of WA, or the weighted average. Okay. Now for the performance tasks, the same with the process or the steps in the written works. Let's say that there are 4 activities in the performance tasks. We have activity 1, 2, 3, and 4. For activity 1, the highest possible score is 15. For activity 2, the highest possible is 15. For activity 3, it is 25. And for activity 4, the highest possible score is 20. So the total highest possible score is 75. Let's say that Juan de la Cruz got these raw scores. For activity 1, he got 12. For activity 2, he got 13. For activity 3, he got 19. And for activity 4, he got 15. So to compute for the weighted average under the performance tasks, for step 1, we need to add the raw scores of Juan de la Cruz. So we have 12, 13, 19, and 15, and that is equal to 56. So we copy 56 and we put that in the column of total. Okay, and for step 2, to determine the percentage score, or to solve for the percentage score, so the formula will be the learner's total raw score, and Juan de la Cruz has 56. Divide by the highest possible score, and that is 75, multiply by 100%. We compute for that, and we come up with 74.67. And again, we need to round that off to a whole number, and now we have 75. So the percentage score of Juan de la Cruz is 75. We put that under the column of PS, or percentage score. Now for step 3, to solve for the weighted average, so again, the formula will be the percentage score multiplied by the weight of the component. For the percentage score of Juan de la Cruz, under the performance task, it is 75 multiplied by the weight of the component. So performance task is 50%. That is equal to, now we multiply, that is now equal to 37.5. So the weighted average of Juan de la Cruz under performance task is 37.5. To solve for the initial grade, we are going to add up the weighted averages under written works and performance tasks. In our example, for Juan de la Cruz, his weighted average under written works, it is 45.5. For performance task, his weighted average is 37.5. So we add those values and we come up with 83. 83 now is the initial grade of Juan de la Cruz. However, it is not yet the final quarterly grade. So in order for us to determine the final quarterly grade, we are going to use the transmutation table provided by the DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. So here is the transmutation table provided by the DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015, which will be used to determine the quarterly grade, which will be reflected in the report card. In the transmutation table, it consists of the range of initial grades and their equivalent transmuted grades. For our example, for Juan de la Cruz, we know that the initial grade is 83. So we find that range and we will come up with a transmuted grade of 89. Using the transmutation table based from debit order number 8 series of 2015, the initial grade of Juan de la Cruz, which is 83, will be transmuted into 89. 89 now is the quarterly grade of Juan de la Cruz. So this is how we are going to compute or solve for the grade in this new normal using the debit order number 31 series of 2020. So I hope you've learned something, and thank you so much for your listening. Bye for now.